Hi, boys and girls. Today we are going to read Lesson 5, Life in the Caribbean, starting on page 92. The people of the Caribbean. Almost 40 million people live in the Caribbean. Many of these people are a mix of European, African, Native American, and Asian heritage. Heritage is something handed down from the past, such as language or culture. Let's stop and underline the definition or meaning of heritage. Something handed down from the past, such as language or culture. Over the centuries, these heritages have blended together throughout the Caribbean. The native people who lived in the Caribbean were the Taino. Later, much of the Caribbean was settled by the French and Spanish. Many Africans were brought to the islands by force as enslaved people and made to work for the settlers. Eventually, they were freed and continued to live on the islands. Over the years, Africans have added their traditions to the food, music, and arts of the region. The Spanish, English, French, and Dutch founded colonies on many of the islands of the Caribbean. These colonies include Santo Domingo, the first permanent European settlement in the Caribbean. Many Asians also live in the Caribbean. Most came during the 1800s to work on sugarcane farms. They stayed and eventually formed their own communities. In some Caribbean countries, people developed their own language. They combined parts of different languages from their home countries. One example is Haitian Creole, which is spoken in Haiti. It has French words but uses grammar from African languages. Other Creole languages in the Caribbean are based on English, Spanish, and Dutch. English and French are spoken throughout the whole region. Let's go ahead and underline some of the languages spoken. Other Creole languages in the Caribbean are based on English, Spanish, and Dutch. And English and French are spoken throughout the whole region. Number 1 says, underline the cultures that influenced life in the Caribbean. So let's go ahead and underline on page 92, where it says, over the years, Africans have added to their traditions of food, music, and arts of the region. It also says here that many Asians also live in the Caribbean, and they stayed and eventually formed their own communities. All right, and the next one says, how are languages spoken in the Caribbean similar to languages spoken in the Southeast United States? So go ahead and take a minute to write down some of the examples that we read here on page 93. Did you know Haiti became the first colony in the region to gain independence from France? Now we're going to read about different countries found in the Caribbean. The first one is Cuba. Cuba has the largest population in the Caribbean, about 12 million people. Let's go ahead and stop and underline that important fact. It has the largest population in the Caribbean. Many of the people are of African, European, and Asian heritage. Cuba was ruled by Spain until 1898. Spanish influences can still be seen and heard throughout the country. For example, most people speak Spanish. Today, the government controls much of the country and the people. Many people have moved to other countries, including the United States, to find freedom. Now let's read about Jamaica. About 3 million people live in Jamaica. Most of the people are of African heritage, but European and American influences can also be seen around the country. Jamaica was first a Spanish colony. Then it became an English colony. English is the official language, but Spanish and other languages are also spoken. Reggae, a style of dance music that is popular in Jamaica, was influenced by blues music from the Southeast United States. Let's stop to underline this important fact about reggae being a popular style of dance music in Jamaica. and it being influenced by blues from the southeast United States. Okay, next we're going to read about the Dominican Republic. The Dominican Republic is where Christopher Columbus first landed in 1492. It later became a Spanish colony. Most of the people who live there today speak Spanish. Seafood, beans, rice, meat, vegetables, and plantains, a type of banana, are main ingredients in their food. Pottery making and weaving are popular art forms in the Dominican Republic. Let's stop to underline some of the main ingredients in their food. Seafood, beans, rice, meat, vegetables, and plantains. Okay, now let's read about the Bahamas. The Bahamas is influenced by native African and English cultures. It was first settled by English colonists looking for religious freedom. Africans were brought to the islands by force as enslaved people and made to work on cotton farms. Asian and Hispanic immigrants also live in the Bahamas. A lot of what the people of the Bahamas eat comes from the sea that surrounds them. African rhythms, Caribbean calypso, and English folk songs create a style of music that is unique to the Bahamas. Let's underline two important facts: that a lot of what the people of the Bahamas eat comes from the sea that surrounds them, and then also African rhythms, Caribbean calypso, and English folk songs create a style of music that is unique or special to the Bahamas. Okay. Next, we're going to read about Puerto Rico. Almost 4 million people live in Puerto Rico. Many live in and around San Juan, the capital. Stop to underline the capital is San Juan. European, African, Hispanic, and American heritages influence life in Puerto Rico. One unique characteristic of Puerto Rico is that it is a commonwealth of the United States. This means that Puerto Ricans are American citizens. They can travel between Puerto Rico and the United States just as easily as you can travel from Florida to another state in the United States. Let's stop to underline what makes Puerto Rico unique. It's a commonwealth of the United States, which means Puerto Ricans are American citizens. All right, and our last country we are going to read about is Haiti. Haiti is the first nation in the history of the world to be founded by formerly enslaved people. It declared its independence from France in 1804. Today, there are more than 9 million people living in Haiti. Most speak Haitian Creole or French. The food is influenced by the French with many breads, cheeses, and desserts. Fresh fruit and vegetables are also eaten daily in Haiti. The country is still recovering from a huge earthquake that hit in 2010. Let's go ahead and underline that Haiti is the first nation in the history of the world to be founded by formerly enslaved people, and that it declared its independence from France in the year 1804. Okay, Caribbean culture. The Caribbean's mild climate makes it a popular spot for recreation, which is relaxing or playing for fun. Many people from all over the world take trips to the Caribbean every year. They can sail a boat, swim in the ocean, and take hikes around the different islands. These visitors, called tourists, are important to the people of the islands. Many people of the Caribbean earn a living while they share their culture with the tourists. Let's stop to underline that a visitor is called a tourist. Holidays and celebrations are an important part of Caribbean culture. Across the Caribbean, a festival known as Carnival is celebrated in the winter months. People wear bright costumes and participate in street parades with colorful floats and different kinds of music. In Puerto Rico, the Merengue Festival is one of the region's most popular Latin music festivals. The Dominican Republic celebrates its Independence Day in February, while the Bahamas celebrates it in July. Let's pause to underline Carnival is a festival celebrated in the winter months, and people wear bright costumes and participate in street parades with colorful floats and different kinds of music. And we can see here in the photograph all of the colorful costumes. Many Caribbean music styles are based on African music and rhythms. These styles also use drums. The steel drum is an instrument unique to the Caribbean. It used to be made out of empty steel oil containers. Today, the drums play a wide range of sounds. Let's go ahead and underline that it used to be made out of empty steel oil containers. Now go ahead and take a minute or two and answer this question below. How is the Caribbean similar to the Southeast United States, or the region that we live in? The Caribbean also has unique food with many different influences. When people came to the area from Africa, they tried to recreate the foods of their homes. They had to swap out ingredients and spices for what they could find around them. This resulted in African recipes with Caribbean ingredients. Like the United States, sports are popular in the Caribbean. Several countries have their own baseball leagues. Many players have left the region to play for professional teams in the United States. Dominoes and soccer are other games played throughout the Caribbean. Let's go ahead and underline some food and sports information we just learned. When people came to the area from Africa, they tried to recreate the foods from their homes, and they had to swap out ingredients and spices for what they could find around them. We also learned that sports such as baseball are very popular in the Caribbean, and many players have left their region to play for professional teams in the United States. And some other activities are dominoes. And you can see in this photograph here, people playing dominoes in the Caribbean. What sports are the same in the Caribbean and the United States? Take a minute to respond to this question here.